Today we have a member hot seat and we've got the lovely Anita on with us. She's been working with us maybe for around 18 months now. And she has gone through a tremendous journey. I'm not going to tell you the ins and outs of it. I'm going to let her describe her results and everything. But one of the best body transformations I have seen in an individual, but also one of the best mind transformations as well that I've seen in an individual. When we first had a chat, she was in a very different place to where she is now. But yeah, I'm going to introduce her. I'm going to let her take over a little bit and tell you a little bit about herself. So Anita, welcome. Why don't you just start off by like introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about you, the background and things like that.
Yeah, so hi Nick, and hello to everyone that's actually listening. So I'm Anita. I'm a mum of two. I don't look like I'm a mum, but yeah, I'm a mum of two. I'm currently working in Canary Wharf. I have a little side business, which is AK Serenity, and I've also been on an amazing journey with Nick and Jamie over the last almost a year and a half. And I'm really, really glad that it's today, actually, because it's World Mental Health Day and something really, really close to my heart. So it's just fallen at the right time. So thank you for organising that. And I look forward to kind of going through my journey and where it began and where I am today and how I will move forward as well.
Excellent. Excellent. When we first had a chat, to be honest, I didn't really know, or I didn't gauge anyway from that initial chat, maybe because you didn't let on to, but like the low point that you were at, that sort of came out sort of, maybe even sort of a year after you were in the program, that I truly understood, like, damn, you were at a real low point when you first reached out. You didn't really let that on our call. But I guess, what was the reason for change? Tell me why you wanted to change, why you wanted to embark on this journey.
So I guess over the kind of last 7-8 years, I've obviously struggled with my mental health in ways obviously I cannot describe. But as I started working on my mental health and that part of me started improving, I knew that I wanted to improve on my physical being. I had a really, really, really bad relationship with food. So, I can openly say I was binge eating. So during my down days, I would be eating takeaways, crisps, chocolates, you name it. That became my comfort. And that's how I kind of, went through each day. And that became a norm for me. And that was my kind of lifestyle. And that's how I lived at that time.
I was a previous binge eater when I was larger as well. Did you do it in secret? Was it like something that you did secretly? Like, was it like, oh, you know what, I used to be the guy that would like go to a social event and I wouldn't eat anything for fear of judgment, and then I'd be home and then I'd be in my room and I'd just smash everything behind.
Yeah, and I mean, at the time you don't want to do it, but it becomes quite natural for you to do it because that was, I guess, my coping mechanism over the years. And as time went on, it just became normal for me. So I didn't see it as a bad thing. It just became a day-to-day basis, and that's how my life became. And then the weight just piled on and on and on and on. And that obviously didn't help my mental health at that time. It's only when I thought, okay, I need to focus on my mental health. As that improved, I realized, okay, now it's time for me to focus on my healthy eating, getting back into exercise. So prior to say like 10 years, I was very health conscious. I lost a lot of weight. I was going to the gym. Life happened. And unfortunately, a dip dive and I went totally downhill where it was all good. And then I went downhill. So it was time for me to get back on that track again.
So that period that was sort of the darker, harder, rough patch of your life, you say it spanned over about a 7 to 8 year period?
Yeah, it did.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Something that I want to ask you, because I've experienced this in the past with other members, and of course it's out of my scope of practice. We're by no means a therapist or people that are trained to give this sort of advice, but it's really interesting to me that you said you worked on your mental health first and then you decided to focus on your body. I've had it before in the past where people have been going through mental health things and they almost use fitness as a way to put a bandage over that, but they never quite get there. They're in the program, or they try to embark on a journey, and because of whatever else is going on in life, they can't give it their full focus. right? I don't know if you did that as well over that 7 to 8 year period where you're like, I'm going to do it, but then everything got on top of you, on weight on your shoulders and things like that, and you just couldn't commit to it fully, or you just kept self-sabotaging and things like that. When was the realization that, well, firstly, did you do that? Did you, over that 7 to 8 year
Yeah,
period? Yeah.
yeah, I've tried multiple different plans, Slimming World being one of them, maybe 3, 4 times, start, stop, start, stop, follow the plan, but there'll be like a Friday or a Sunday where I'll just still continue to binge eat because mentally I was not in the right space and that food still became that comfort. I wasn't in a good space to be able to go and exercise. But yeah, if I did consider it at that time, it would have helped my mental health, but it was just me in 4 walls at that time. So exercise was kind of out of the question during the time. But it's as my mental health improved, so I started working on myself, I felt better within. So I had the confidence to say, do you know what? I put my hands up. I need help. I want to change. I want to exercise. I want to lose weight. I can go to the gym. And that's when I reached out to you and Jamie because I was mentally ready to make that change.
That's so good. That's so good that you came to that realization that you actually needed to work on this one thing to then go and sort of crack the code on the other thing. Since you started, have there been further improvements on your mental health then, since you've lost the weight, since you sort of focus on fitness and training and things like that?
Yeah, 100%. So no doubt, obviously, I still have my down days, as like I'm human, so that's quite normal. I do have my down days, and yes, I might treat myself to this, that, and the other, but I don't go into a full binge. So if I've had a meal out and I've gone full blown, I accept that, and the next day I carry on. If I look back to myself a couple of years ago, I would make that meal into a day, into a week, into a month, and that's where my lifestyle was so different. Whereas now I can have that meal, wipe it clean and start fresh. So I don't feel guilty. It's okay. I'm allowed to have treats here now and then. And I think my relationship with food is so much better because if I'm feeling down, I try to go for a walk, I go to the gym, I try to do different things before I dip dive and go into binge eating, I guess.
What's the changing point? Like, what made you go from one way of thinking to this new way of thinking? Because I think a lot of people listening, a lot of people that I've worked with personally have that same thing where it's almost like, screw it, can't be asked. I'm having a really bad day today. I'm not going to move. I don't want to do anything. What's the difference now? What switched in you where you're like, I can't keep living like that. Like I have to sort of, I bet at the start you had to almost push through it. It was almost like, no, Anita, fine, I've
Yeah.
had this slice of cake, whatever it is, I'm not going to have the second slice. Or no, Anita, even though you don't want to train, I'm going to go out there and do it. What were the tools that you used to help you do that versus what you were doing before? It was just like, nah, I don't feel like it, or I'm going to eat more or sabotage myself. Like, what's the difference there?
So a prime example, earlier this year, so around April, May, I was kind of having them down days. I had a situation at work where it really affected my mental health. I was working long hours. I wasn't having a break. And at that point, I reached out to Jamie and I said, look, I'm actually struggling, but it wasn't the food aspect. So at that time, I actually didn't have time to eat. I was not eating during my working hours. I was not having a break. And things got on top of me so badly that I didn't know how to manage that. And she said, go out for a walk. And I started doing that, getting out for a walk at the end of the day. And that helped me because I know that that's my time. That's my time to, wind down, focus. And then when I came back, my choices of food was a lot better rather than me going through that stressful moment, going straight to the food. So it's trying to find a coping mechanism that works for you, which is different for everybody, right? So for me, that walking and exercising really, really helps. Sometimes it's quite difficult to say, do you know what, I actually want to go for a walk, but you've just got to force yourself because you know the benefits of it afterwards and you feel so much better.
Why were you more receiving of that information? Like, I feel like maybe you in the past wouldn't have been receiving to that and said, oh, I'm not going to go for a walk.
No,
Like,
not at all.
what's the, why has Anita changed now? Like, that's sort of what I want to get at. Like, why are you different now versus what you were before? Like, why did you?
Because why did I? Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think for me, it's if I look back at the things that I used to do before, let's just say I decide to do that now. I know myself how rubbish I will feel. And I know now how to get out of that. Before I would go into it, and I didn't know how to get myself out. Now, if I do have a down day, I know how to get myself back out of that. And I think that's where the two differences are, is as I'm in a better mental space, I know how to cope with my struggles on a day-to-day basis. So for me, it's walking, exercising, consciously choosing better food, which will help me feel mentally and physically better as well.
Cool, cool. I think we've dived into sort of what life was like before. We spoke about sort of your food habits, exercise habits, sort of, where you were at with things. Where are you now? Tell us about your results. I mentioned, you've been in the program for almost 18 months. Talk to us about all of the good things that have happened over this last 18 months.
So for me, a huge transition, a huge transformation. I'm definitely not the person that I was, a year and a half ago, not just in size, but just as a person, I'm totally different. It's amazing to have so many people say to me, oh my God, you look different. I don't recognize you, because when you're on that journey, you don't always see it yourself. Even when you're looking at your progress photos, even when you're looking at that scale, for me, myself, I didn't really see it until I looked at my before picture and I look at my recent picture and I'm like, wow. And only recently I looked at my measurements and I've lost 23 centimeters off my waist, which is, I'm really shocked that anything like this is actually possible, and 26 kilos down. So the weight hasn't dropped as much recently, but I can see it in the inches and the clothes. So I was almost a size 18 and I'm down to a size 10. So amazing. I've had to have a whole new wardrobe and strip out all my other clothes. And just generally, I feel so much stronger, so much more confident. I've got a routine, I've got a routine in place. I plan out my meals. I'm enjoying cooking. So, making different foods and just, and it's like my kids are like, oh, mummy, she's going to the gym. Mummy, she's going to exercise. Mummy, when I've got my gym gear on, so they kind of know. And as a family, we're more conscious of what we're eating. So, I think my whole lifestyle has changed dramatically, but it's not had an impact on everybody else. So I've not changed my meals as such. I'm still having the family meals that I used to, but it's eating more mindfully, maybe using less oil or no oil and just making them healthier swaps where possible. So I think for me, being in this journey with Affinity has been sustainable. And I think that is what's, kept me going over the year and a half.
Awesome. Really, really good results. 26 kilos down, 23 centimeters off of the waist, a whole new wardrobe. I could actually tell from your pictures, because obviously you wore a pink top towards the start of it, and then obviously you've transitioned because that pink top's probably become too big for you, so you've had to get a new one. So that's one of the reasons why. Tell me, you spoke a little bit about family and things like that. One of the things that I see people bring up a barrier about getting in shape, starting a program and things like that is the time element, right? Like it's a big reason as to sort of why not to do something. And you've got two young children. I remember when you first started, I think your youngest was a toddler or younger, you're younger than a toddler, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a full-time job, obviously, then everything that comes with having a kids and full-time job, the social life, kids clubs, all of that sort of stuff. How have you managed to do it all? Like, how do you fit it? What's the cheat code over here? I think everyone wants to know. Or what's your response to that? What's the cheat code to fitting it all in and doing it all?
So for me, it's putting it into my diary. So if I've got work meetings, they go in my diary, same as everything else. So I have a reminder on my phone to plan my weekly meals. So I sit down with my husband once a week, we plan out the meals. That doesn't necessarily mean like breakfast and lunch for me, but it's always our dinner. So our dinner is always planned because obviously we're all eating the same food. So that goes in. We know what we're going to have. We need to buy for the weekly shop. So that also helps as well. All my exercises are all planned in. I go to the gym. I'm not there hours on end. I'm there 45 minutes to an hour max, and then I'm out. But I use that time as it's me time. I don't see it as it's exercise time. It's my time out. It's my time away, from family, from life, from reality, and it's my zone out time. And that's what I love. Sometimes, yes, it's okay. Oh, today I've got to go exercise, but I love that feel good feeling once I'm there and once I'm out. And for me, it's not, I don't see it as a huge time commitment because everything flows in 45 minutes here or there. You know, people can spend hours on social media scrolling, and for me, this is, it works. You know, I'm not out till late. I'm still sleeping well. I'm still having time with family. I go into the office. I'm also at home, so I just try to work where I can. My main mindset is that I need to work out a few times during the week. Like yesterday, I couldn't make it to the gym, so I done a short workout at home. So it's trying to make adjustments to know that it fits with your life and your lifestyle. Some people have time and some people don't, but you've got to make that time because we all have time for scrolling. So I definitely feel like, you know, you can make that time.
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't have to be big chunks. Like yesterday, you couldn't get out to the gym, so you did something quick at home, but it was still something that you managed to do to move you
Yeah.
forward, to help with your mental health, and just to help with the overall goal that you have. Was there an element at the start of guilt? Oh, it's pulling me away from the kids, the housework, this, that, and the other. What was there an element of that, or were you quite like, no, this
Um,
is for me, and I know it's going to benefit me in the long run?
I think at the beginning, yes. I'm quite fortunate that my husband is very supportive, but I know in some circumstances it's the woman having to do everything. But I'm quite fortunate that I can go out and go do my exercise. But I don't feel guilty because I'm not away for hours. You know, I'm there and back in an hour. So it's not like an hour out of the whole day is not a huge amount. And it's the same as if somebody was watching TV. So I'm able to have that balance in between, you know, being with the kids, having that family time. So for me, it's even in the morning on a weekend, I get my workout done in the morning. So I'm done. Like I've got all the time for the rest of the
Yeah.
family during the weekend, or I try to fit it in during the week. It doesn't work for everybody, but I think it's just finding that balance. And no, I don't feel guilty at all because they can see the difference in me. Everyone else can see the difference, and I can finally see it, you know, within
Yeah.
myself. And I see it as an investment in myself, definitely.
100%. When you take that time out for yourself, you're actually improving those relationships, and you have more energy, you are more productive at
Yeah.
work than you are when you're sort of trapped in four walls and not going out and things like that. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. Um, what's been your biggest learning?
Oh, that is a very tricky question. So, one thing that I've learned is if you put your mind to it, then it's really possible because I've done a couple of different plans, start, stop, didn't really focus. But I feel like this is me being totally honest. I have never done a plan for this long and stayed so consistent with it because for me, it's sustainable. I don't feel like I'm on a diet. I don't feel like, I'm not restricted. And for me, it is a lifestyle change. So it's one thing that I would say is trying to find something that fits with your life, with your aspirations, I guess, what you want to achieve from it, and go for it. Because if I didn't speak to you on day one, I definitely wouldn't be here. I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And it's just one of those things. If you know you want to do it, you've just got to go for it. Yeah, I think that's got to be one of my biggest learning curves. And I think for me also is understanding that you can improve your relationship with food. So obviously, going back, I never thought that I could get to where I am today. And with your support, with Jamie's support, it's made me change my lifestyle in ways that have helped me physically and mentally.
Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. Absolutely. And I think for some people, it might sound airy fairy, like, oh, just put your mind to it and you can do to it. It's so true, though. If you can start to believe that, no, I am going to be the person that loses 26 to 30 kilos, I'm going to do this, it really does help. It all starts with the way that you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Something really, really cool that someone taught me or said to me was, the way that you're talking to yourself, would you say that to your best mate? And some of the stuff that people say to themselves, they wouldn't say that to their best mate. If your best
Yeah.
mate was on a journey, you'd be like, go on, you got this, you're going to do it, you're going to smash it. You're not going to turn around and say, oh, you're just going to sabotage yourself on the weekend, and da 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 da, or you're not worth it. What's the point? Just accept how you are. So, yeah, it is putting your mind to it and absolutely making sure that you believe that you can do it and you will achieve it.
Yeah.
Um, what did you do when there were times of a lack of motivation, dips in motivation and things like that, periods of complacency? Like, what pulled you out of that hole to keep going? Because, like you say, the journey hasn't been smooth. There's been roller coasters. It hasn't been a year and a half of like down, 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 daisies and rainbows, skipping out of bed every single morning. What did you do in those times when there was a lack of motivation?
So for me, it's when I first lost that bit of weight, that automatically motivated me straight away. It's like, wow, I've actually lost, X amount of weight in this amount of time. And looking back at that motivated me. So there was a period of time last year where I had surgery and I wasn't able to lose any weight, mainly because of the lack of movement. But I stayed consistent with my food, so I didn't add on any weight. The last thing that I wanted to do was add that weight back on. I worked so hard to get to where I wanted to be. So it's about pushing yourself through. We're all going to have struggles in life. We're all going to have hurdles. We've just got to, carry on. So for me, previously, it was, I'm going to start on a Monday. That was my motto. Always, I'm going to start on a Monday. Monday came and, that never happened. But now my mindset is, okay, I've had a rubbish day today. I'm going to start fresh tomorrow. And that works for me. I don't use the Monday as an excuse. And one thing that I would say is reaching out to a coach is one of the best things. For me, that investment is I can reach out and say, look, I'm struggling with this, and I'll get the support that I need to help me go through. I think without that support, one-to-one support, I don't think I would have got as far as I have today.
Your mindset has also changed as well. Like, you've got a side business, which I believe you implement into your own life that helps you with things as well, right? Like coping mechanism and things like that. Tell me a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so my side business is to do with healing, and that actually started as I was slowly recovering from my mental health issues. So I tried a healing session, and for me that was, I guess, life changing. Personally, just during COVID, and I thought, wow, I feel this good. Like, after going through such a dark space, I felt like my world had turned around. And that's when my journey of healing started. So I was a very, very negative person, say 10 years ago, mentally not in the right space. And now as I've worked on myself and been able to help other people, it's like you say, you wouldn't talk to your friend in a bad way. So it's about talking to yourself with respect, and that helps you with that journey. And before it was, it's okay, you can eat, I didn't feel guilty, but now I do, because I don't see that as acceptable. And I wouldn't want the people around me binge eating, through their emotions. It's not normal to do that. So as I've changed mentally and grown as a person through my healing journey, that's helped me in terms of my journey with Affinity, definitely. So that positive mindset, picking myself up through the hurdle. So when I'm having a down day, finding that coping mechanism, and just having that positive outlook. And that's when I mentioned before that you do realize things are possible, but you've just got to put yourself in it to know that there is support out there as well, because there's nothing wrong in reaching out for support. The support is there. Take it. I don't see it as a cost. I see it as an investment, definitely.
Perfect. Awesome. I love that the one of the main parts of this journey, this story, is the amount of self-improvement that you've put yourself forward for so that you can get to the position that you're in. Because it may on the surface seem like Anita's joined a program 18 months ago and got an amazing result, but actually this all began years ago, 7-8 years ago. This is 7-8 years worth of hard work finally coming out now, 8 years later, over an 18-month journey. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Final question. What 3 things would you give to someone who is starting out on their journey, or who might be feeling a little bit deflated at the moment with the progress they're making? What are your top 3 tips?
So the first one is enjoy the journey and don't give up. So I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, can say I've enjoyed this 18 months. For me, it's learning. I've understood myself better, and I feel like anybody who joins Affinity can really understand their relationship with food better and really push themselves but you've got to enjoy the journey. So you can't just say, I'm doing this just to lose weight, but you've got to understand that it takes time and commitment. So really be ready for that. And I think that's also really, really important. It's not a quick fix. Learn to fight through obstacles in life. So with anything in life, you manage to push through, you know, and that's the way life and reality work. And this is the same thing through this journey. You know, you might not want to go to the gym. Finding that push, that motivation to say, why am I going to the gym? The good feeling that you get afterwards. So finding your why is really, really important for anybody in this journey. And the final thing that I would say is there is no time like the present to start your journey. I spent years, months, days thinking, I want to start. And I thought, do you know what? Today is it. And I didn't contemplate. I reached out to you and I said, look, I'm ready to start. And I think it's life-changing. So if you feel like you want to start, just reach out to Nick and Jamie and have that chat, and that will push you even further to want to start.
Amazing. Great tips. Love them. They're different tips as well. So they're really, really useful. Thank you so much for sharing all. I really, really appreciate it. Good insights on how you came from the position that you're in to where you are now, how the journey hasn't been smooth, how you manage it all with a family, with work and things like that. And obviously what you do when you're feeling demotivated. Is there any parting words, tips, or anything that you want to add to this before we close off?
No, I just want to say a huge thank you to yourself and Jamie, because I honestly didn't think I would get this far. And I've actually enjoyed the journey, and I'm so glad I did join, because 18 months down the line, I'm a new me. So honestly, thank you.
Yeah, you are completely different. Not only like how you look, obviously, massive difference, but obviously the way that your mindset is around things. There's a calm about you. You're just like going with the flow of life now, by the looks of it.
Yes, that's the way it works.
Good. Thank you for listening, guys.